Let's do this. Welcome to Comics League Movie Night as we discuss why there can only be one. I am Jared, your usual handsome bearded host, and let me bring in the other beard.
I am Phoenix!
Hello, sir.
Hello there. I have a very important question for you. Who wants to live forever?
I think we all do, but yeah, I see what you're doing there, Nick. So we're
talking just give me the prize. Just give me the prize.
Yes. Greatest movie ever, Then They Live. Yes. So, and by the way, oh my gosh, everyone's showing up to this one. He got the boys.
What's up?
How you doing? So, Nick,
here we are, princes of the universe.
Yeah, nice. So, Nick, you picked this movie. Tell us a little bit about Highlander.
Okay. So Highlander is about a special group of people called Immortals who cannot die, and the only way to kill them is to lop off their head. And eventually they're all drawn to a place called the Gathering, where they'll all fight each other, and in the end, there can only be one, and the one left standing will get the prize.
So you're telling me they'll never be the head of a major corporation?
No, they'll never leave the corporation, because when people are fired, heads are rolled.
Nice.
That was perfectly timed. That was
I got it. That was nice. So this was my first time watching this movie, and I gotta be honest, going into it, I didn't know what to expect, and honestly, I didn't think I was gonna dig it as much as I ended up digging it. Because wow,
this is a highly underrated classic, especially when it came out.
Well, I will say, of a certain generation, and by generation I mean my fellow old people.
So, you're saying of a certain millennia?
Okay, for the record, this movie did come out a year before I was born.
So it came out in the Stone Age?
Yeah. Flintstones. Where are the Flintstones?
Never Flintstone.
Dweeb.
Also, whoever that person is, they got the right idea.
Yeah.
There can only be one.
There can only be one, Wombat. So, yeah. So, again, this is one of those movies where I've heard it because I've heard it I heard a reference in Ricky Bobby, dude. It was like where he was like, "Oh, I was watching Highlander. It won the award for like best movie ever," and I was like, "Okay, this sounds interesting." And the reason why I was fine with doing this as a movie night, since it's not exactly a comic book movie, when you watch the trailer, it has very, very blaringly obvious superhero movie vibes.
And to be fair, there are Highlander comics.
I didn't know that. I may have to check those out. So, but 100%. Hey, what's up, Lord Thoth? Good to see you, buddy. But yeah, I'm like, this is because I like immortal stories. For some reason, that concept has always fascinated me. Probably because I like Superman and Wonder Woman being together and they're immortals, pretty much. But
also the swordplay aspect. You can't.
Can we also bring up that I love how Sammy thought this was Braveheart when we talked about it to her?
to be fair, in her defense, if you're just looking at the covers, of the Highlander, I could see someone making that connection.
Yeah, the Highlander comics were actually pretty good. Okay, I will be looking those up. It's pretty.
Just avoid any of the sequels because they're all various levels of crap.
Yeah. And going to the swordplay, that's another thing that I really like in movies is really good swordplay because that's like one of the things I geek out about. And this was like, because here's the thing, when you have a movie built around the concept of sword fighting, you have to make sure it looks really good because otherwise it's just going to undermine your plot. And boy, did this really do well.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I really like is they did a really good job of showing different styles of swordplay. Like, for example, in the opening scene, Connor's using what is essentially is a katana, but like the other guy, he's fighting against a rapier. so he's like using fencing, and then Kurgan is using a two-handed sword, like kind of like a great sword kind of thing. So he's obviously, yeah, we'll
Hey, what's up, John? What's up, dude?
Oh, it got John. Oh, press an F in the chat for John.
Yeah,
people,
F in the chat.
I
Clancy
just got out of Twitter jail, so
This is another thing, by the way. So I realized this. I'm like, is that Lex Luthor? So Lex
Yeah.
Luthor basically has a thing against immortal metahumans, apparently.
but he does know the secret recipe for Krabby Patties.
Oh yeah, that is hilarious. Yeah.
I'm
But-
sorry. Also, he was Punisher CO.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, yeah, in the Punisher movie.
I'm
There
sorry.
was only-
Clancy
oh,
Brown-
this is a good one. There was only one Punisher movie. Okay, you know what?
Let me give him
I'm
clip.
giving no. I got a good clip. Well done, Thoth. I love that one.
I
Did
just
you
love
just call him
Kurgan.
Gotham?
Like Kurgan, the character Clancy Brown praised. I'm sorry, but Clancy Brown just goes for it. He goes he was like, go bigger, girl. Like, it's better to burn out and fade away than
Yeah, he went all out. I loved his scene in the church also where he's talking to the Catholic priest. I'm like, yeah, this guy's a douche.
Yeah, it's just
But again, it's really cool. And see, all right. So the plot basically is, so he's this immortal warrior. Do we ever see him get the power, or is it something you're born with? I can't remember.
I believe it's something you're born with.
Yeah,
Maybe
because
it's
I was like, they
Maybelline.
never really gave it to him, which that's fine. I liked how as soon as the people like find out, okay, so you all of a sudden healed witchcraft, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. It showed how like everyone that was seemingly his friend turned on him instantly.
Yeah, even the woman who was literally wailing at his corpse, not even 2 hours earlier, lurking while he's working.
Glad you're here, John. But yeah, I really dug that. Really, because it fits the time period. Because of course, it's like anytime you have a metahuman-like character in that time period, they're gonna be seen as a witch.
Yeah,
And I think actually in Neil Gaiman's Marvel 1602, the X-Men were seen as witches. I love the scene where Kurgan is in the church messing with the nuns and he killed an old lady. Yeah, me too. I like where he's assembling his sword like it's a freaking sniper rifle. Hey, what's up, Naj?
Which, by the way, in reality, would actually make for a really weak sword.
Oh, yes, 100%, but it's Hollywood. Hey,
It's
my
movies,
day's going
you
very
know.
well, dude. But it's a movie, so I was like, okay, I enjoyed it because that's always one of my favorite things in assassin movies where they assemble the sniper rifle. But here's the problem: that's a structural vulnerability in the steel of the sword. So that thing will probably last a good swing, but then it'll just fall apart.
Especially that type of sword,
Yeah.
Like if you like it, because obviously like maybe like a smaller sword, you might be able to kind of get away with it, but like that type of sword, it's so heavy. Plus, honestly, I think like the blade itself is in like 3 pieces, so like it's got massive structural problems.
What's up, Najee?
Yeah, and by the way, drop in the chat all y'all's favorite lines from the movie and your favorite scenes. So it was kind of, and I liked how, okay, of course he's an antique dealer because he's probably been around all this stuff being
I mean,
immortal.
he is one himself.
Yeah, I like that. I was like, a lot of this movie. Here's the thing about this movie: when I'm watching it, I'm like, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. Like they have so much stuff in there that adds a little bit makes sense. So it's like, okay, that's really cool. And plus,
Like for example, his assistant. Like they revealed like he found her as a little girl in World War II. And it's like
that was cool.
Also, like I love how the fact that after like that the woman of his died, he never opened his heart again until this woman in modern times.
Yeah, which she's mine. I love that. So I'm gonna go around real quick since Jay Heat just came in. I'm gonna get his thoughts first on Highlander. So, dude, lay it on me.
Highlander is very underrated. Now, once you actually, by the time you get through the first act, you are hooked. I highly recommend this movie.
Oh my gosh, yes. Because I was already intrigued by the ancient combat, but the very fact when he gets stabbed and comes back to life and then is put through boot camp with Sean Connery, I was like, yes. I saw Sean Connery just throws him out of the boat too. That was the best. He just sinks. He's like, "You'll be fine."
There is a lot of 80s cheese in it, but
I mean, literally, the soundtrack is done by Queen. Can you get any more 80s than that?
And I gotta say,
can we talk about like how awesome the soundtrack is? Because Queen actually made like a couple of songs for this, and oh my god, they're perfect for this.
Yes, and I need to say one thing: Sean Connery throwing McCloud out of that boat—that is such a Batman line to do. He's like, "Float." That is
also.
Is that something Batman would so do?
Also, I do want to mention that the actor for McCloud would go on to play Raiden in Mortal Kombat.
Get over here! I don't have that clip.
So he is a god.
Jay, I have good news. I can still talk to you on video chat on YouTube. Plus, I can't wait for the Transformers Rise of the Beast video.
And glad you're doing better, Najee. But this is a quick segue as any.
Oh, hey,
Point is tonight at 9, baby.
It's happening, baby. We're finally recording. I thought it was at 8 though.
I could do 8 or 9. I could do either. Just let me know. But 8 or 9. So I will send something. Are we live streaming or is it going to be recorded?
I thought we were live streaming it.
Live stream it is.
All right, there you go. So you guys can even, and I'll give you $50. Well, I'm not going to put money on.
I'm holding you to that. This is on the internet. I'm holding you to that.
I will bet you. I will bet you a clip that Tevye shows up for that one.
Maybe we'll see.
You will. You ever see the music video for Princess of the Universe?
I have Savage Gerbil. It's been a while. I need to go back and watch it.
It has been a while since I've last seen that.
Christopher Lambert, love that guy. If you haven't seen Mean Guns, it's the exact kind of movie we'd all have pitched in grad school.
Nice. I love Christopher Lambert. He is the most Scottish French person you will ever meet.
You know what's kind of funny? Doesn't he look like Thomas Jane?
I could see it.
That's why I was so confused when I was watching. I was like, okay, Thomas James is... That's not Thomas Jane.
By the way, my joke to kind of explain it, Christopher Lambert's French, and he's playing a Scotsman, so that's the joke.
Well, we had 10 years of a British guy playing an American pop cultural icon, Superman, so it's believable.
That happens all the time, though. So
Moambat said, I wrote a fan fiction story a few years ago, but what would happen if the Highlander universe crossed over with the Mortal Kombat universe? A pretty good story. That's what would happen.
Raiden meets Connor McCloud, and they're like...
Yeah, and then I always thought that, too. Okay, cool. And
I will say probably my favorite song from this movie has got to be Who Wants to Live Forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely dug... The soundtrack fit the movie, like... to a freaking T.
I'm trying to turn Jared into a Queen fan, but so far I've come up empty.
Yeah, and then you know what's kind of funny, Nick? You should do this. Make an edit where every time a head is chopped off in Highlander, you hear fatality. That's an idea right there. But
it is.
So, and thank you for helping me feel better. You're amazing people. You're amazing too, Najee. So
every bit.
So, and I want to emphasize. So, one of my favorite scenes is the fight in the parking garage because here's why. They just throw you into what's going on in this movie, and you're like, these people all of a sudden know each other. What the hell is going on? He cuts off his head. And all of a sudden, there's like lightning stuff coming out of him, and I'm like, the hell is going on? And then explains it. But I like movies that just throw you in.
Yeah, obviously, the rotoscoped lightning looks a little bit dated, but honestly, it's not too bad, I'd say.
For a movie in the 80s, it looks pretty decent.
Here's the thing what I love about 80s movies. 80s movies often look better than movies that come out today.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I dare you to go back and watch, like, the original Aliens, and say that looks better than Alien Covenant. I dare you.
To a certain degree, it does, because you know why? The aliens it doesn't look so CGI.
Because they're not CGI.
Because they're not CGI, exactly. Which, that takes... The natural alien, as I'll put it, is more terrifying, because it looks more real. That's why. Plus, Alien Covenant, that plot could have been avoided if they had sent some smarter people into space, but that's besides the point.
Yeah. We're not talking about Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
tonight.
Oh,
No.
trust me. If we did, we'd go on rants for 2 hours about how much of a crappy movie that is. The initial fight happening way back at the wrestling event really cements it being in the 80s. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then even some of the lower budget flicks, Critters holds up remarkably well despite not being a AAA film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
The
Yeah, a
quality
lot
was
of-
there back then.
Yeah, a lot of movies back then actually hold up well, I think, because they had to do more with less.
Yeah, and it's like nowadays, if you have an actor who can't fight, you either put a stunt double on them, or you know, like I mean, I'm sure there were
Or
stunt
you
doubles.
CGI them.
Yeah, but like Christopher Lambert was an actual swordsman. He was an actual martial artist. Like that's the thing. Like back in the '80s, when they wanted to have an action star, they had someone who could actually do most of these stunts. You know, they didn't cut around it as much.
Yeah. And then Wombat says, I love how the immortals are able to live for thousands of years, never get old, and they can never have children. That is
like it adds a very kind of tragic element to it. Like when the woman's dying and when she says, I wish I could have given you children. It hurts because this woman loved him throughout her entire life. And you know, like even though she probably feels like she had a good life, you know, she feels some regret, like she wishes she could have done more.
And that's the tragic life of Superman too. I'm going to draw a lot of parallels to this with Superman because it's a similar concept. Because Superman's immortal too. Eventually, Lois will die, and then he'll go to Diana. But which that can be seen as like a tragedy or a blessing. But
assuming Batman doesn't cuck him first.
Well, Batman's going to die too eventually. So again, either way, they're going to be the only two super people alive.
So here's what's going to happen. Even if Batman does manage to cuck Superman, you know, like 50 years later when Batman dies, Superman and Batman are standing over his grave and be like, why didn't
Superman
we get
and Wonder
together
Woman,
sooner?
you mean? Superman and Wonder Woman, you mean? That was a hell of a Freudian slip right there. You thought Batman Nightwing was a Freudian slip. That was a hell of a one right there, dude.
when Superman and Wonder Woman are standing over his grave, Wonder Woman looks up and be like, why didn't we get together sooner? We could all avoid.
And then what will happen is Clark will go in to kiss her, and as he kisses her behind her back, he's flipping off Batman's grave. That's the new 52 Superman, baby.
And then Batman's corpse just goes like
a bat finger comes up.
just like and like Superman sees it and he's just like.
But what's up, Najee? Hey, I was born in the 1996 era with Beast Wars cartoon. Beast Wars! I had to. And I will say this, Najee, that's just Prime.
Oh, Najee, you should check out our you should check out my Beast Wars stream I did on my channel.
Actually, I'm planning a bit of a review myself, so
ooh,
hey,
nice.
we'll see.
I'm available for that if you need another guy because I really enjoyed the Beast War. Hey,
I'll send you guys the link. I'll send you guys the link.
Yeah. So back to this. So again, that's the other thing that really fascinates me about immortal stories because again, it's like it sounds cool. You're able to live forever until you really think about it.
Yeah, it's like it's great to be an immortal, but then everyone you ever know or love dies, and it's like you're scared. Like you're scared to fall in love because even if you do find someone who understands you, who knows everything about you, knows even if you do find your blossom, you know, like Connor did, eventually she will die. Mm-hmm. You know, like she'll get older and you stay the same. Okay, I didn't mean to say it like that.
And here's the heartbreaking part. It keeps happening. It's a very lonely lifestyle.
Eventually, you just stop opening your heart again. You're like, why don't you let people in? It's like, I've lived for hundreds of years. I have buried like more people than you've seen in your whole entire life.
Savage Gerbil asks, ever watch Aqua Teen? Someone offered Carl immortality. Response, sometimes I kind of want to die. That's a good one. That's a good one. I love that one. I love that one.
I love that show.
Oh, and Savage Gerbil also up. To be fair, we often wind up comparing late stage practical effects with the modern era, with the modern CGI era. Hybrid is where you really get magic. The new Oppenheimer movie was apparently mostly practical. Yeah, and the Warner Brothers plot is paying the price for that.
Yeah, like I kind of want to expand on that because like you have seen movies like for example Mad Max Fury Road kind of went that approach where it's like practical as much as possible, but using CG as like an extension. And honestly, Mad Max still looks amazing. And, like another great film from like hybrid is Titanic, because Titanic was mostly done practical. Some other good films from the '90s that are really good hybrid, like the original Jurassic Park. You know, that like those films still hold up because they still used a lot of practical effects. It's only when you kind of get into the 2000s when they started to use CG as more of a crutch. That and honestly, I think 2010s.
Excuse me.
Well, yeah, that's 20. Like, and then like the 2010s is kind of like when they started to kind of get better at it, but we're still kind of figuring it out, honestly.
Yeah, and plus again, I go back to they did more with less because remember back then they didn't have all the advanced tools, so they really had to rely half on a portion of it for visual effects, but also for CGI a portion on CGI and a portion on practical. Because I would argue more practical because that's where you have the most available to you. Because they didn't have Final Cut Pro.
Yeah, I mean the other thing is in the 80s, that was when practical effects were arguably at their zenith. Because it was the era of like the rock star practical effects. You had like Rick Baker, you know, H.R. Giger, you know, like Steve Sametti, you know, like you have all these people, well-known people, and like they're at their prime in the 80s. They still were active in the 90s. We don't see those people anymore, you know. But like this is when practical effects were at their prime. This was at their height in the 80s. I'd say in the 90s they were still good, but CG was starting to creep in by then.
Yeah, most of the people you see in those films have either retired, died off, or both.
Yeah, like Rick Baker is still alive. It's just he retired, I think, like 5 to 10 years ago.
That's why I love movies from that time period, because you could see the artistry and the passion behind everyone. Even though the CGI does look kind of wonky in terms of like the lightning, you can see the love put on that scene.
Here's the thing. The lightning isn't CGI. It is not CGI. See, the technique back then was called rotoscoping, which is when you're animating directly onto the cells. You know, it's like tracing live action footage.
Yeah.
So they did that for a lot of lightning effects in the 80s. You know, rotoscoping, you might, like, for example, the Fleischer cartoons, like the Superman cartoons of the 40s, those were done using rotoscoping. You know, rotoscoping is used to kind of give more lifelike animation, but it can also be used to put stuff onto film. Like, it's also used for, like, particle effects, like laser beam effects, lightning. Like, those weren't even CGI. Like, those lightning wasn't even CGI. That was rotoscoping.
Interesting. Well, again, but my point still stands that you could see the passion, the love behind all these movies too. It's like with Star Wars, the original ones. When you find out all the dogfighting scenes were just models flying in front of a blue screen, I'm like, that blew my mind.
Oh, or even better, did you ever hear the story that when George Lucas, he wanted, like, what he did is he spliced together like old World War II films to say like how, like, it was like a very early version of like an animatic to say like how he wanted the thing to go. Like, it's just the passion. Also, could you highlight Savage's comment? It's just funny.
Sure. Gotta say, it's Supernatural beats Highlander the series. More decapitations. Nice. And by the way, Najee says, guys, did you know there was a Highlander game but published by Square Enix that almost came out?
Really?
Wow.
Oh.
That's actually that would actually be a really cool game, honestly. I think Rick Baker retired and they screwed him over with the 2010 Wolfman movie by replacing his practical effects with CGI.
Wow. Because here's the thing. Rick Baker did American Werewolf in London. He did that, you know, that famous transformation, werewolf transformation scenes? He did that. That was him. So to have him working on the Wolfman with like modern technology, to be fair, I actually like the Wolfman. I think it's a good movie. I think the CG is fine. But if it would have had Like, if it would have had Rick Baker effects with 2010 technology, that would have been amazing.
By the way, I wanted to share this because I was at SuperCon and I saw these. They took Star Wars and combined it with old World War II pictures.
I actually like these kind of Photoshop jobs where they take like these kind of nerdy stuff and put it and make it look like it was actually there.
Little lightsaber. Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine coming off of Doomsday, D-Day, and you see like an AT-AT? But I just wanted to share that because that was pretty fun. By the way, SuperCon was awesome. I got to hang out with Ryan Otley. That was super fun. And then Najee says that the game got canceled in 2008. Okay, it's a canceled action role playing game based on the Highlander franchise. Okay, that's very interesting. Thanks for bringing that up. And so what would you say? All right, so going back to Highlander, what would you say is like? What's your favorite part, Nick? What's your favorite part of the movie?
I'd probably say, off the top of my head, I'd say like the training sequence.
Wait, there's an anime for Highlander.
Yeah, actually, and I think they turned the anime. The anime actually got a video game for the Atari Jaguar CD. It's like obscure console with an even more obscure add-on.
Wow. I was like, what? As soon as they said Atari, I was like, okay. And then you said Jaguar, and I was like, what?
And then I said CD, and
no, CD. I know because I did grow up in the era where CDs were a thing. But American Werewolf in London is a movies you should cover, one of the greatest werewolf films.
Yeah, for sure.
You can see that. That'll probably be a Nick pick because he picks all that obscure stuff, which is fine.
I don't know if I'll pick it, but like I know Lost Boys is definitely on that list.
As long as it can bring a crowd, which I gotta say, this brought a crowd, so I'm cool with that.
Also, check the Comics League chat. I just posted a picture of an Atari Jaguar CD.
Oh wow, that is old. And by the way, Savage Gerbil, yeah, we were talking about how there was a Highlander game.
For there was one actually released for the Atari Jaguar CD. The only reason I know about it is I was watching an AVGN episode and he was talking about it. So that's the only reason I know about the game.
Nice. And my favorite scene is probably training montage with Sean Connery, because just the way Sean Connery also messes with him by knocking him out of the boat, and he's like, no, you have to learn this, dude. And the way he starts, because the way they have that whole I guess not really rivalry, but it's like sort of like a father-son relationship. Like it's kind of like Batman training Grayson. I have to say Grayson because if I say his first name, the bots will come.
Also, you notice when he was talking about his sword, he name dropped Masamume, like literally the greatest swordsmith of all time.
Ah, yeah. Anyone ever play the Highlander deck building game? I did not know there was a deck building game. I played the DC one. The DC one is fun.
I've never played a deck building game. The one that I've always wanted to try has been Android Netrunner. I just never got around to trying it.
Mm-hmm. And then Savage Gerbil says, get on some classic horror movies in a stream and shoot me a link. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, we'll do that. Is there any more dramatic way to prove that someone that they're immortal than drowning? Yep, exactly. There you go.
Set them on fire?
That's true too, but is there any less painful way than setting them on fire? Near Dark is a similar film to Lost Boys, but much, much better.
Lost Boys is a masterpiece. I don't know what you're talking about.
No comment.
No comment.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jared, I promise you, when you actually get to watch Lost Boys, it's like, okay, I can see why Nick likes it still.
Dweeb.
Okay, there you go. But
I'm about to cry, little sister.
Okay.
Anyone who knows Lost Boys knows exactly what I just did.
Yeah, I think if they survive that one, they might hold a grudge. Yeah, the fire thing. I'd be pissed if someone lit me on fire, even if I was immortal.
You shot me in both my knees and then set me on fire. Piss off.
You shot me in the eye.
Let me put it this way, Nick. Even if I were immortal, if you lit me on fire, this would be my reaction.
You're gonna die, clown! You think that's funny? I don't hear you laughing now!
I do think it's funny.
You guys would be like, You a-holes would be toasting marshmallows on my smoldering corpse.
You asked me
no.
you said you wanted this stream to be lit, so I was just following your instructions.
That's why we got Jay Heaton here.
Wonder Bat.
The Lost Boys is cool, but it ends up but it comes off like an R-rated kids movie.
And that's sad. Why? Hey, I still believe. I know that people are strange, but I still believe.
Shots fired, and it was. That's awesome. That's awesome. What are you so upset about? The castration didn't kill you, right?
You are a dick.
Yeah.
Other breaking news. Water. Wet.
Hey, at least you own it. I'll give you props for that.
But that was great.
Oh,
I love how we're talking about like how we react if we were immortal and we got various different ways of killing each other.
Oh my god.
Says
Wonder Bat on E
most
minor.
R-rated movies come across as R-rated kids movies if you think about it. Yeah, that's actually true when you think about it.
Huh.
Yeah,
A lot of them are like really ridiculous, like kids movie
Especially-
in terms of that.
Like I would say that a lot of the so-called adult cartoons that we're getting nowadays are more childish than some kids' cartoons of even 10 years ago.
Even some live action shows that have come out in the past like 5 years. Peacemaker seemed like it was written by adolescent teenage kids. Hey, what's up, Phil?
Now don't jump the gun there, buddy. Don't jump the gun.
Oh, don't worry. I'm not holding the stream at gunpoint. I had to.
That comes later.
Here's my opinion. Here's my opinion on Peacemaker. By the way,
He fills out his clothes like lentils fill out a sandwich bag.
I just want to.
I love that clip so much.
Hey Phil. Hey Phil, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, Nick?
No, Phil.
Hello there.
Hello there. I need the
You
General
need to.
Kenobi drop.
You really do. You honestly.
I'm probably gonna end up grabbing that. So there you go.
So Jared, what would do you have a favorite song from this movie? Like which one really stuck out to you?
Not real.
The
I'm
hell?
trying to remember the soundtrack for the movie, but all of it was really good. I will give you that because here's the thing. Traditionally, I don't like music from that time period. This was different because I think it was put in better context of like dope action scenes. And Rob Zombie's El Super Beasto animated movie, for example, that's a comic book movie too. Really? Oh, by the way, take John Wick, for example. Take the same plot, but replace guns and kills with Nerf bat and 60s Batman style world bubbles, and don't kill the dog. It's a classic kids movie in the make. That would be great.
We got to cover John Wick. We have to,
Oh,
especially now that they got the fourth movie out.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
Like honestly, we could do an entire John Wick month.
Yeah, we have to do that. And yeah, and now there's 4 movies. We can do that like we almost did with the Matrix movies.
That was a good month.
That was a good month. Yeah. Even though Nick was closed-minded to the piece of cinematic masterpiece brilliance, which was I can't even complete that statement because that was not a masterpiece. It was a good movie. It was a masterpiece.
You did a poll about which one wanted to cover. It was Animatrix and Matrix 4, and the audience spoke, and they chose Animatrix. I love democracy.
Yeah.
Jared, you knew I was gonna end with that.
Last movie wasn't bad. Caught it in theaters. Love the original. Thank you.
Yeah, I do love all 4 John Wick movies. Third is probably my least favorite. The first 2 are amazing.
I do love how he kills someone with a book.
Part 2. Honestly, I think John Wick 2 is probably my favorite, just because it kind of took the themes of the first film and did it really well. I think like D'Antonio was just such a great villain. But yeah, Highlander.
Honestly, here's the thing. I gotta say this. Punisher basically convinced me that Keanu Reeves could play a decent Punisher.
You
He would basically be John Wick.
You know who was in the Punisher TV show?
Ooh.
Clancy Brown.
Yes, we already mentioned that, but yes, I appreciate that.
I'm
I
gonna
think
keep
3
bringing
is
it up.
probably the weakest. And then
Yeah.
Emma says, bro, one of the greatest villain actors of all time. He is talking to, well, anyway. Oh, yeah, Clancy Brown, yes. This movie had Queen's best songs on the soundtrack. Not even a big fan of that band, but the song is awesome. Yeah.
Dave, what song is it?
Mm-hmm. All of you pen and paper nerds, the John Wick world is exactly like a Vampire the Masquerade World WOD setting. Yeah, kind of.
I am a fan of the video game Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which I might be doing. I'm probably going to be doing a let's play of it come late September, October. So
he was awesome. I have his sideshow action figure. Oh yeah, that's cool. I saw that they basically have a hot toy for John Wick. I may pick that up.
Also, while we're talking Highlander, I do want to give a shout out to the TV show, which it stars Adrian Paul, which is like a different McLeod, like from like a century or two later or something. It's basically like an alternate universe where like the Gathering hasn't happened yet. Christopher Lambert shows up in the first episode, but this is like Adrian Paul's show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, from what I hear, that show is actually pretty good. But other than that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And let's see what else. Okay, now here's a question for you guys. Now, what I want to do is talk about who would win in a fight between John McClane and maybe, let's say, because
Connor McLeod.
Because I don't know why I said John, but it's probably because John Wick. Because here's the thing, I'm judging his ability to fight with swords based upon like the fact that he has all these centuries of experience. So he's got to be good at something.
Okay,
I'm gonna go with Wonder Woman, but without super strength or anything like that. Just base Wonder Woman without the powers.
So it's basically a sword fighting contest.
Sword fighting, just purely sword fighting. She doesn't have the super strength.
Connor. Experience Trump. Also, also here's the other thing you got to realize: without Wonder Woman's strength, she is just a normal woman, athletic. But the thing is, Connor, outside of his immortality and his knowledge and skills, he's still like average male performance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, average male performance versus average athletic male performance versus average female. The male's going to win, especially when you couple that with Connor's experience.
I agree with you on that. It's got to be base. Wonder Woman has thousands of years of base. That is true, though. She has thousands of years, but so does Connor. So
but here's the thing: Wonder Woman has thousands of years of generalized combat experience. Connor is a sword fighting specialist, and also if you take away Wonder Woman's powers, Connor has size, reach, and strength advantage. Coupled with the fact that he's a sword fighting specialist, honestly, there's no contest.
Yeah. How about Lady Shiva?
Ooh. Cloud would still win, though.
Yeah. The TV show is weird. The show is supposed to depict the events leading up to the Gathering, but they basically soft rebooted it into its own alt universe after the first season. Now, as you see, are you guys going to check out the Steam Summer Sale? Not yet.
I've checked a few things. I thought about getting Horizon Zero Dawn, but I'm trying to save money. Honestly, I want a Steam Deck so bad, though.
If all your fighting experience has been earned while having a near impenetrable body, your defense might not do well when you lose powers. True, because Wonder Woman's used to fighting with those powers.
That is true.
Yeah, and also, the thing about Connor is the immortals can still get wounded and can be temporarily invulnerable. I think the only time that Wonder Woman might win is if she knows about the decapitation thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if she wounds Connor enough that she can decapitate him, I'd say it's like a Connor wins 9, Wonder Woman wins 1 kind of scenario.
Mm-hmm. Oops, it can't block with my forearm. Well, yeah, she can because she still has her armor and everything. It's just she doesn't have the powers. That's the difference. And then MS says, I say Connor would win if it was swords only, but if hand-to-hand combat, Wonder Woman has the advantage. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good compromise. What do you think?
I think it's a compromise, and I will say, if Wonder Woman has like her strength, I think Connor would put up a good fight. Like he would be a legit challenge to Diana, but Diana would still win every time.
Yeah, and then Henry Cavill was attached to a remake of Highlander. I don't know if he still is. Oh my gosh, that'd be so dope.
I would pay so much money.
Henry Cavill as McLeod. Hell yes.
probably do a better Scottish accent.
Well, that man can somehow voice Superman and Geralt. So
He could pull it
well,
off.
I'm saying that because Henry is British, so it's not that hard of a jump to go from a British to a Scottish accent. Plus,
True.
he's been around enough Scottish people that like he could probably do it pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, MS has a question right there. Who wins, The Witcher or Highlander?
I gotta
This
give
is
it to Highlander. I gotta give it to Highlander.
This is very close. I'm assuming we're not like taking away the abilities of The Witcher.
Not taking away the abilities now.
No.
This is going to be a close fight, but I got to give the edge to The Witcher.
Really?
Explain.
Because Witchers are usually like a little bit stronger, faster, you know, and especially Geralt. Like he's a dang good swordsman. You got to realize by the time of the show, he's about 80 to 100 years old, so he has a lot of experience on his belt as a swordsman. He's fought some really nasty beasts. Well, maybe not like as a good swordsman. I think his abilities and just his general like grit kind of gives him a bit of the edge. But it is extremely close. It is extremely close.
Jay Heat, why do you say Highlander?
You got thousands of years of experience as a sword specialist.
Technically, Connor only has 400 years of experience. Just I'm splitting hairs, but still.
Like Nick said, it's a very close fight, but I still like experience would still win out in the end. Now, if Geralt could outlast, and I probably could have worded that better, Geralt might have the stamina advantage, but in the end, it's a very close fight.
Yeah, like that's my thing. Like you can argue either way. You know, like you can make a legitimate case for going either way. But I will say, if you allow Geralt to use potions, then he has a very strong advantage.
And then Matt says, I just did a quick check. The last actor attached to the Highlander remake is Chris Hemsworth.
He was a good job.
I want Henry Cavill more. And
I mean, yeah.
Dave says, how has Clancy Brown never been a live-action DC villain?
Well, he was a villain in Punisher. Like he was.
DC.
Okay. Here's a question for you: who would you cast Clancy Brown as a villain in? Lex Luthor notwithstanding.
Deathstroke.
Too old. Let's just say now. Let's say they're hiring now.
Probably, and it's not Lex Luthor. Brainiac.
I could maybe see that. Ra's al Ghul.
Maybe, but
I don't know. When I think of like live action Ra's al Ghul, I think of like Odie Fair, the actor, you know, from The Mummy. I think he's actually voiced Ra's al Ghul a couple times.
I think of Mads Nicholson from James Bond, dude.
Mads could do it.
He's my fan casting for Ra's.
Yeah.
He could pull it off. I think Vandal Savage better, but he could pull off a good Ra's.
That's who I could see Clancy Brown playing as Vandal.
No, Christopher Lambert as Vandal Savage.
And then at one point, they have to have a scene where he's fighting another immortal, and Vandal goes, "There can only be one." That has to happen. And we got Snyder Queen in the chat. Mads would be sick, yes. And because you're in the chat, I might as well just do this. Speaking of Wonder Woman.
Hey, Snyder Queen, if you want the link, let us know. And I'm sure
it's in the Comics League group chat. And then, Dave.
Yep, we have found our official casting.
Or the voice of Darkseid. Nah, Mongo works better.
I can't see Clancy Brown as Darkseid. I just can't see it.
No, I could see Ray Porter as Darkseid. hint, hint. But Mongol is more hashtag sell the Snyderverse to Netflix. So there you go.
Yeah,
that's a way of bringing things hashtag full circle.
Clancy Brown for Lex Luthor or Mongol, and I will not accept any other casting.
I mean, he could probably do a good live action Lex Luthor.
Thanks. Okay. Thanks. I'm okay. I'm not feeling up for it. It's all good, Sammy. All good, Sammy. We're glad you're here anyway.
Yeah, we just wanted to, make you feel, make sure you know you're included.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. Now, I want to do one more. Who would win, Highlander or Batman?
Batman.
Yes.
Because
oh, really?
I'm Batman.
That was fast, Nick. Why would Batman beat Highlander?
Because he's Batman.
True. I gotta say, I agree with it because because when you think about it, Batman has fought and defeated all of the best hand-to-hand combat people and swordsmen in the DC universe. So I'd imagine it'd be like a regular day at the JLB for him.
Okay, I have a question for you. Iron Fist versus Batman.
I don't know that much about Iron Fist, but what I could say is that based on the show, it would versus Batman.
That's not a good representation of Iron Fist.
It's really not.
That's the only one that I got. So I'm gonna sit this one out. Jay Heat, what do you think?
It's a very close, but I would give the edge to Iron Fist only because of mystical ability on top of martial arts.
And Snyder Queen basically summarizes my opinion. Batman beats everyone. That's the thing. Batman beats everyone. And then always Iron Fist. Nope. Highlander versus Lady Shiva. That's a good question. Who wins in that scenario? Because remember, Lady Shiva is the best hand-to-hand combat or like melee fighter in the entire DC universe.
I'm just being silent because I know that like here in a few months when my next comic drops, there's going to be some confusion going around.
Mm-hmm. No kidding. It wasn't a good representation. I referred to Iron Fist as the short bus Batman.
That's actually pretty accurate. I gotta give you that.
I love this one meme. It's like, you're a defender of Kunlun. Yes. Have you defended Kunlun? No. Then you must be a really bad defender. Hey, what's up, Daniel? Daniel says, first Highlander movie was amazing. From there, the franchise goes a mountain biking quality. Nice. I love that. That's a good one.
This is the quality.
Yeah, exactly. Comic Iron Fist could wreck Batman. Unless Marvel nerfed him. He is the same general class as Namor once he got his full... Oh, so he's an a-hole. Because that's what Namor is.
Because like when it comes to like martial arts abilities, I think Iron Fist is like number 1 or number 2. Like he's in the top 5 of Marvel martial artists. Yeah. I think Marvel, like I think now Marvel has put Shang-Chi as number 1. For the longest time, Iron Fist was like the top martial artist in Marvel. Like I mean Daredevil's in that top 5. But like I think he's kind of on the lower end, but like Iron Fist is at least 1 or 2 in terms of like top martial artists in Marvel.
Mm-hmm. Man, what even happened to Highlander 2? Nick, you want to take over this?
Let's just say the quickening was too strong.
Well, let's just say the other films in the series proved why there can only be one.
So by the way, that was kind of like a pun joke because like the sequel is called Highlander 2: The Quickening, and it just goes because here's a problem with like making a sequel to Highlander is the ending is he wins, he gets a prize, and where do you go from there? Because you basically have to retcon the ending of the first movie unless you're doing a prequel in order to even like do something. Like sure, you could do a Ramirez story, like imagine Ramirez in Japan. There's literally thousands of years of like potential story you can do. It's why the Predator movie nowadays they're just doing like hopping through history because that's the only really thing that Predator can go now.
And by the way, David makes an excellent point. Speaking about immortals, here's another reason against Wonder Bat. Bruce is immortal and he's a speck in Wonder Woman's life. Yeah, I think that deserves a little special clip that I have just for that. If Highlander 3 had been Highlander 2, it would have been an okay sequel. Do you agree with that, Nick?
Which one was Highlander 3? Are you talking about The Source, which was like the crossover between like the show and the movie, where like they actually had like Adrian Paul and Christopher Lambert team up for a movie? I'm sorry, like I'm a fan of the first movie, but I've never actually seen like the rest of the stuff because like just but I love the first movie, so it's like yeah, you guys know more about this than I do.
Well, yeah. Remember, there can only be one though.
Exactly.
Case of Crabs would have gotten a better sequel.
You've been talking to ex-girlfriends, haven't you?
Yes. Fleeting love is just as strong as one that lasts forever. Yeah. No, not really. Because it's not gonna be strong when he dies.
Yes, because like here's the thing: the strongest of love has the strongest of break, and even if you're an immortal and you love you have one woman for 60 years, she will eventually die, and your heart will break. And there's only so many times your heart can break before it just gets numb completely, and that's a problem with Highlander.
Highlander animated series was a good one. Very PG stuff, but still interesting story. Oh, that's cool. And what, of course, are you insane? Well, because Highlander that I should basically say Highlander is another Super Wonder movie because it basically proves my point. Because there you go, immortal, baby. Because it's what's kind of funny is that if you read Kingdom Come, if you read like the epilogue to Kingdom Come, they show like what happens afterwards. Like Bruce gets older and older and older, and Diana and Clark stay the same, and they still married and stuff. It's really funny. You're making zero sense. So she basically describes Wonderbat in this sentence, 0 sense.
But as far as what Santa Queen said, like that doesn't mean love. Yes, the love is true, but like even the brightest of flames must eventually go out.
Yes. This is why you roll Krugen style. Just yeah.
So you mean if I get my neck cut and I have a scar, I should just put pins in there as a stylistic choice?
I guess so. But yeah. You basically said that because one person is the moral of the relationship. I never said it's meaningless. I just said it's not going to work.
It's doomed to last. It's doomed, and the immortal that's why I don't know if Santa Queen actually saw the movie, but he stayed with that one woman, and yeah, they had a good life together. Probably for a good long time because he was probably in her 20s probably when they first met. So let's say 50 years. Let's say she died in her 70s. Fair enough. So they had 50 good years, and that was probably some good years. But he eventually died, and he was heartbroken.
Time travel.
What the frick?
You were talking about time, so it's the only time clip I could put in here. And then Daniel says, actually, in the Highlander live-action series, Duncan leaves his mortal girlfriend to pursue a relationship with a fellow immortal.
Okay.
And then it was awesome when every hit R-rated movie got a Saturday morning cartoon. Everything from Rambo to the Toxic Avenger.
I mean, don't forget RoboCop.
Highlander 3, the Sorcerer was there, a small group of immortals who were flash frozen and got defrosted. It was involved in the tie-in. It involved the tie-in to Ramirez's time in Japan. If they stay together until one of them dies, that's the definition of a relationship working. No, I'm saying it's not.
We're not arguing. We're not arguing that a relationship can't work. We're just saying that it's a doomed romance because one of them's gonna die and the other person, is gonna be heartbroken. They're just gonna live the rest of their life. We're not saying I was saying Connor and Blossom had good years together. They had a great relationship, and she died in his arms, and he still had to live hundreds of years after that. And
it also gets into here's the thing. Like Nick said earlier in the stream, you go through that heartbreak over and over and over again. It eventually breaks you. So, and that's the thing. Yeah, it could be the best relationship in the world while the person's alive, but at a certain point, you're going to deal with that scenario. And I'm sorry, I just like my characters avoiding that.
Yeah, this is a strong subplot of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Ramirez is don't do this. You need to leave her for her sake as well as yours. And it's as soon as he died and he felt the pain in his heart, he's yeah, she's right. That's why the next shot is he literally burned down his farmstead.
Mm-hmm. As far as romance goes, there was a little poetry of taking that damage in exchange for it. And then Sammy says, "So no, now your arguments are so weak." Fair enough.
I don't even know what we're arguing about because I feel like we pretty much agree with each other. I don't even know.
Well, because I was saying it as opposed to Wonderbat, but that's besides the point. Actually, in the TV show, McLeod's love interest, Tessa, was killed off because the showrunners thought her constant pacifistic nagging came across as annoying to the audience who wanted more action. Oh, interesting.
That sounds. So
they didn't want any. So basically, she nagged herself to being removed from the show. That's great. Immortals have to learn to hit.
Wait.
Nice.
Oh my god.
I love how
the
that's
thing-
where this stream went, by the way.
Also, like the fact that immortals they can't get STDs, and the fact that they can't like sire children, like that just opens up so many possibilities.
Yeah. So on that terrific note, let's talk about. So Nick, let me ask you about this. What's the thing that made you pick this movie? In other words, what's like if you can nail down one factor of this movie that makes it a classic, what do you think that is?
Just first thing that comes to mind is the soundtrack. I mean, I know you're not a Queen fan, but even you're not a Queen fan. You're not a fan of this kind of music. Even you like this music.
Yeah.
Like I think you can like kind of like say, yeah, the soundtrack. I can see why people think it's iconic.
Yeah, because it was used in such a way that it was more like score to me, as far as I see it. In the Tessa character defense, she was part of the show when it was designed to lead into the first movie where Krugen eventually kills Duncan. That's interesting.
But then Duncan became too much of a likable character to be like, oh, we need to do more episodes, so alt universe. Like, so I guess you could say they're doing the multiverse before multiverses were cool.
And arguably Marvel and DC are doing the multiverse when it's not cool anymore.
Yeah.
That I've been saving for so long.
Good time to put it in. But yeah, it's a classic movie, and honestly, Jared, I'm just trying to turn you on to more like older films, the stuff you might like.
I appreciate
that.
I
know I showed you a bunch of trailers, and I know like The Shadow kind of interested you, so I don't think we'll do that for movie night because I don't think there would be enough people interested. Like The Shadow is like it's well liked, but like not enough to.
The heat mute.
So like, I might just have you watch The Shadow on your own, but like, there's tons of other films that like I would love to have us do for movie night. But like you said, it has to be stuff that people are interested in.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that. And by the way, this got a lot more attention than I thought it was. So bravo to you people for showing up for Highlander. I definitely enjoyed that.
Well, thank you. Now that just gives me more ammunition to recommend older, more obscure movies. Like honestly, as far as The Shadow is concerned, we can poll people on Twitter.
I think we could do The Shadow because I'll just label it the Batman before Batman.
Okay.
I could probably make that one work really well.
All right, so we'll put that on the maybe list. I know you weren't really into the Phantom, and so we probably won't do that. And as much as I would love to do Dick Tracy, I don't think you really like that trailer. So
yeah. So all right. So I think it's my pick next. So we're going to be talking about a DC AMU movie. So let me look those up real quick to get the next one in our.
I think Judas Contract is next.
Is that next? Let's check. Actually, I think it's Suicide Squad.
Huh.
Did we? Actually, let me see in timeline order. Well, Suicide Squad we can just put anywhere because it's not exactly in there. And then, yeah, it's okay. But let me see. Okay, Justice League War, Teen Titans, that thing, Nightwing, and yeah, we're not doing that. That I'm just looking at. Okay, we did Justice League Dark. Okay, yeah, it is the Judas Contract, and then Suicide Squad.
Oh, okay.
All right, and then who gets it next? Is it Jay Heat's pick after that?
I think it's Jay Heat, and then I think either Taladia or Snyder Queen.
Because I think it's like Jay Heat, Taladia, Snyder Queen, me, and then you.
Yeah, that's the good order. And then, by the way, they basically killed Tessa off and turned McCloud's teen sidekick Richie into a new immortal, bit of a retcon, and then spawned a world where hundreds of immortals who are still being born. Yeah, it's like a noir Batman adjacent thing. Good flick. I think it holds up better than Dick Tracy.
Shadow War, or the
and
Shadow.
Then, the Shadow has a ton of great comics. There would be no Batman or many other comic book characters without the Shadow. Awesome character. Yeah, so that's why I'm inclined to authorize that to like not stand in the way of that if that was
because like the Shadow himself is a comic book character. The inspiration for Batman, tone wise, he's adjacent enough. Dick Tracy, while he is a classic comic book character, might not have enough like tonal wise to be interested for the audience.
Plus, for history reasons, if I'm a comic book channel, I have to cover something The Shadow once, at least once. So I'm fine with that.
The movie's actually pretty good in my opinion.
Yeah, so we'll look at it. And then I don't know how you mess up the multiverse. It's like a built-in do-over. Well, somehow Marvel and DC figured out how to do that. And by
Yeah, it's like at Warner Brothers.
Jared, I will say, you probably should cover a Shadow comic book at some point, and I do highly recommend doing a video on the Phantom at some point, because the Phantom is really because he is the first masked superhero.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll do that. So we're gonna do Teen Titans: The Judas Contract is the next one. Man, Pika's gonna really enjoy that one. And even Sony schooled them both on how. Yeah, exactly. There you go. And then the first appearance of Batman was largely plagiarized from a Shadow magazine. Oh, geez. So you mean Bill Finger took credit for something that wasn't even his idea? Really?
So you're saying that Bob Kane lives?
I mean Bob Kane. Sorry.
No. You're saying that? No, I have to do this. You're saying that Bob Kane lives in the shadow of the Bat?
Yeah, that's good. And by the way, when I said Bill Finger before, I meant Bob Kane. Just want to be clear on that. I got them a little confused there. Funny enough, the Shadow debuted like 5 years before Batman in one of the Pulp magazine detective stories or something like that, and Batman in Detective Comics. That's good. That's nice.
Yeah. I think
we'll talk about it.
Parallels. I think there's enough parallels between the Shadow and Batman that it deserves to be covered.
Yeah, we're gonna cover it because here's the thing: even if the movie doesn't have that much attention, the character itself, the IP, does. We'll just make that a hybrid between movie night and general, like maybe under 2Ks, because you know what, we have to cover that.
Well, if we're talking about like comics that inspired other things, we should really touch upon Doc Savage, because Doc Savage really was an inspiration for Superman.
Okay, so we'll think about this. That may be next week's Under Two Capes episode. I think that's a fantastic idea. We'll talk about the inspiration behind these heroes.
And we'll touch, and then we'll do a full-on Shadow video at some point.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So that's what we're going to do. So in terms of, so we're going to be talking about Teen Titans: The Judas Contract next week in terms of movie night. In terms of what's coming out for Comics League, on Monday, i.e. tomorrow, I have a video discussing where Lad and I do a walkthrough and discussion at Florida SuperCon. It was my first time. It was our first time doing a walkthrough, so it should be fun. We highlight some certain stuff and talk about our thoughts. That's mostly anime. And then, Bill Finger 2, unfortunately, there were panels of artwork that were directly swiped from the Shadow Pulp magazines. Really? Wow, I didn't know that. All right, so we'll talk about that when we do that. But and then on Wednesday, I'm talking about I'm either talking about another Amalgam Comics, or I got another collab coming up. Tuesdays is the collab stream I'm doing with Sil Abdul. He's coming on the stream to talk about DC, Snyderverse, scooping, the all that stuff. So it should be super fun. That'll be live. And we're thinking, I believe I said 5 p.m. I'm just checking real quick. Yeah, 5 p.m. EST is what the time that we're going to do the Sil stream. Obviously, Monday and Tuesday I have are coming out the Avatar collab with Nick on Nick's channel, and I'll be sure to share that. And then my collab, the collab on my channel, talk about Justice League, where we're talking about a better world, i.e. Injustice Before Injustice. Mm-hmm. And obviously, as my boy Jay Heat has brought up, we got Bendis Point is finally happening.
At 9 o'clock, because...
Yeah, actually, 9's good. So, on that note, I'm going to go around. Nick, where can we find you, and what have you got coming on the channel?
Well, you can thankfully still find me on Twitter at the Phoenix Press. I know they've been having the issues there. Right before the stream started, my profile finally started to get normal again, so you can find me there. YouTube starts the same. I got some really cool stuff coming out, like Jared mentioned, the Avatar video. Then on Tuesday, I got a little bit of a special thing for you, little tribute for 4th of July.
Anytime,
I'm just going to unveil the title and nothing else. Mm-hmm. Assemble and Unite. And
I've seen a preview of it. It's really good, and I'll share it out too.
Yeah, and then I've decided on Thursday I'm going to be dropping the pilot for the Comics Watch reboot. It's that one I'm going to be talking about superhero movies and how, like, it's not really superhero fatigue, how, like, the interest comes in waves and, like, we're just kind of waiting for the next wave to start, whatnot. kind of go over the history of things. That's kind of like a test bed to see if people like that. They do. I'll do it more. But yep. And then Super Screen Bros coming out on Wednesday. Got my original stream on Friday. Then Friday Night Frenzy. It's gonna be a good week.
And by the way, Highlander 2 movie was really bad, like at the level of Velma.
Oh wow, that's
how do you guys feel about The Flash after living with him for a few weeks? I still like it, but I do think it's interesting how like Warner Brothers has like removed it from like 1,500 theaters now.
I still haven't seen it. I'm gonna try and not to see it until Jared wears me down and I see it just to shut him the F up.
And by the way, Snyder Queen, in response to that comment, I really have to say this. There you go.
Can we just say, like, Snyder Queen, she's the queen of witty retorts?
Yeah, that's why we keep her around. Not the Wonder Bat stuff, the witty retorts.
I mean, I just consider her a good friend. That's why I keep her around.
Oh, jeez. So. There you go. I gotta watch this just to see if it's bad. I may just watch it just to see if it's even bad. At least Indiana Jones 5 is flopping even harder. Oh, yes. And reportedly from a scooper I trust, in terms of WDW Pro, reports that Kennedy is in the hot seat.
I guess you could say Indiana Jones is more of a flopping fist than Kathleen Kennedy's ...
And then
you're like,
says, I'm gonna kick your ass over that Super Wonder. Oh well, I got a show coming on the channel pretty soon. We've got to arrange it with my friend Britt, where we're gonna discuss all the different ways that Wonder Bat doesn't work, why Steve Trevor and Lois Lane don't work anymore, and why Super Wonder's the best ship.
Snyder Queen, joke's on you. He's into that kind of stuff.
No comment. So Jay Heat, where can we find you, and what have you got coming on the channel?
Watch, he gets a girlfriend, all of a sudden Bruce starts.
What have we got coming on the channel, Jay Heat?
Okay, you will not silence me.
I will put you in the corner, Nick.
But I like the corner.
Stay in the corner and think about what you've done. Invite me on, please, for the Super Wonder Show. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. All right. I think I'm done. All right. Bendis Point is coming out at 9. It's basically just a chill stream. A bunch of us are going to get together and just talk about what could have been if Bendis was never contracted for DC. Some jokes. Hopefully Phoenix, nothing too dirty.
Spoiler alert, it gets better. DC gets better.
New Direction will be back on track next week with the timeline, and we'll cover New 52, how New Direction replaces DCYOU. It'll be a good time.
And I gotta say, Jay Heat, real quick, on my stream, how dare you bring up DCYOU?
Why did you say that name?
Placing it.
No, but you still said those words. So on that note, everyone, McLeod, there can only be one.
Wonder Bat!
You had to do it.